Preparations are underway for the 16 days of advocacy to end sexual and gender-based violence. And today we look at its theme and the role sexual abuse referral centers play in ending the culture of silence. This week was also World Children's Day, with a State of the Nigerian Child report released by UNICEF. We navigate these issues and more this week on Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I'm Kayla Magwa. Let's start with an update on the major stories from Nigeria's presidency this week on our Abuja Wrap.
President Bola Tinubu has congratulated the winner of Saturday's Ondo State governorship election, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, of the All Progressives Congress, while also commending the peaceful conduct of the process. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor on Information Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, the president applauded Aiyedatiwa and other candidates of the 17 political parties for the maturity and sense of purpose demonstrated during the campaigns and the election, attributing the success of the polls to the civility in the state. President Bola Tinubu left Abuja for Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to attend the 19th meeting of the G20 Leaders Summit. The president's participation is on the invitation of the Brazilian president and current president of the group, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. This year's meeting, under the theme Building a Just World and a Sustainable Planet, which held from Monday, November the 18th to Tuesday, 19th, brought together leaders from the world's top 20 economies, including the European Union, the African Union, and multilateral financial institutions, among others. President Bola Tinubu has hailed the creation of the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, championed by President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva of Brazil. The president described the alliance as pivotal in the global fight against hunger and poverty. He made this statement at the 19th G20 Leaders Summit opening session in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Vice President Kashim Shettima says the government of President Bola Tinubu remains steadfast in ensuring inclusivity and equity for all Nigerians by prioritizing people-centered policies and programs. He stated this at the launch of the Grand Challenges Nigeria project, which is aimed at driving innovation for a sustainable future for Nigerians.
I am confident that our core travel as the Federal Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, the Nutrition Society of Nigeria, and all stakeholders fully understand this task at hand. Our collective commitment to the success of GCNG cannot be overstated, and this administration is steadfast in its resolve to provide the support needed to turn our aspirations into lifelines for our people.
The federal government has confirmed the arrest of Simon Ekpa, the self-acclaimed leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, by Finland's government. A statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, signed by the ministry's acting spokesperson, Mr. Kimebe Ebemfa, confirmed the arrest, stating that the arrest followed sustained diplomatic pressure by the federal government on Finland to take action against his activities, which were linked to violence and instability in Nigeria's southwest region. The statement adds that the Finnish authorities allege that Mr. Ekpa used social media platforms to spread separatist propaganda, incite violence, and encourage illegal actions which had caused significant disruptions in the southeast of Nigeria. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has approved the sum of 1.1 billion naira as compensation to owners of properties affected by the ongoing construction of the Airport Road to Kuje Expressway. The minister made the announcement while inspecting some ongoing projects in the nation's capital. About 13 buildings, including some factories along the road corridor, are affected by the construction of the 6-lane dual-carriage expressway.
I'm happy what I've seen, and I will immediately approve it so that they can start paying the compensation so that the work will not be delayed. Well, if I remember vividly, the entire estimate they gave is about 1.something billion. Well, 1.1 billion.
Yes, sir.
And to pay for those whose property are affected, like some of these buildings you have seen here, down to the community. So 1.1 billion. And we are going to make it available so that the contractor will not find any excuse for delay. First of all, it is the commitment made by the federal government under the new agenda that the workers' wages should be increased. And in line with that, we have also adopted it and have also approved for the payment of the arrears as agreed with the labor. I expect that the workers will also see this as a boost and be more committed for us to achieve the development that is required in the city.
Welcome back. In our Focus on the FCT report this week, Sexual Assault Referral Centers, or SARCs as they're known, and the role they play in ending the culture of silence around sexual and gender-based violence was the focus of conversations at the 10th Network Conference of SARCs, hosted by the European Union. It was an opportunity to speak on the roles states have played so far in reducing sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria, while the EU is pledging its support in ensuring localized solutions to SGBV are successful across Nigeria. It was also World Children's Day on the 20th of November, commemorated at the United Nations House right here in Abuja. The 2024 State of the Nigerian Child Report was released by UNICEF. And while there are improvements in some areas of child welfare in the country, other areas are in dire need of help from the federal government. Please watch this. It was a big week for human capital development in Abuja, beginning with interventions to end sexual and gender-based violence. From November the 25th till December the 10th, 2024, 16 days of activism to end sexual and gender-based violence will commence across the world, with a theme, Beijing Plus 30, calling for all to unite to end violence against women and girls. In preparation, the European Union in Nigeria, collaborating with the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption, ROLAC, as well as the Ministry of Justice, are holding this 3-day event in Abuja to assess the impact of sexual abuse referral centers in Nigeria's states, an intervention the European Union has donated ₦1 billion towards.
In Nigeria, the European Union has contributed over ₦1 billion in support of the sexual assault referral centers. We will continue to collaborate with key stakeholders in supporting adequate legislative instruments, targeted health care, and responsive policies aimed at addressing this issue. In addition to the efforts of the federal government, it is important to acknowledge the role of Nigeria's state actors leading in this process. Lagos State already offers a strong example of the application of specialized sexual and gender-based violence courts. Also, Adamawa State, Anambra State, Edo State, but also the Federal Capital Territory, have recently followed this example by designated special courts to handle cases of rape and other forms of violence against women across the states.
According to the Gender-Based Violence National Dashboard, between 2020 and 2023, Nigeria recorded a total of 27,698 cases of sexual and gender-based violence. 1,145 fatal gender-based violence cases were recorded. 393 perpetrators were convicted. 9,636 open cases are still being investigated. 3,432 new cases were reported. 1,741 cases have been closed. And 1,895 follow-up cases are ongoing. Meanwhile, according to the United Nations, sexual abuse referral centers saw an increase in sexual assault complaints from 2,011 cases in 2017 to 2,838 cases in 2018. USAID estimates that 31% of Nigerian women have experienced physical violence, while 9% of Nigerian women have experienced sexual violence. As of October of 2024, there are a total of 47 sexual assault referral centers across 22 states of Nigeria and the FCT. The men and women who coordinate these centers have for 3 days been discussing the impacts they have on sexual and gender-based violence in their states. And according to Nigeria's Attorney General, there are still many challenges that must be overcome to end this problem in the country.
from protracted delays between arrest and prosecution to witness cooperation issues and resource constraints. These challenges can result in cases extending beyond a year before prosecution, creating opportunities for witness intimidation and case compromise. Let me be clear. These challenges, while significant, are not insurmountable, and we are actively pursuing the establishment of forensic laboratories to strengthen our evidence gathering and analysis capabilities. In addition, we are prioritizing the training and retraining of all responding officers, from medical personnel to law enforcement officers, prosecutors, and social workers. The Federal Ministry of Justice is committed to addressing the funding challenges that often impede effective prosecution. We are actively working towards establishing a victim support fund and securing adequate resources for critical prosecutorial functions.
The COVID-19 pandemic, insurgency, banditry, farmer-herder conflicts, inflation, and increased unemployment. These are all factors that the European Union notes are responsible for the increase in sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria. These state attorneys general will give a breakdown of sexual and gender-based violence incidents from the subnationals, while advocacy is ongoing for an increase in the number of these centers in Nigeria. This meeting also examines the impact and challenges faced by already existing centers. Meanwhile, the 20th of November was commemorated as World Children's Day. Children from schools in the FCT, representatives of government agencies and development partners have again converged at the United Nations House in Abuja to celebrate World Children's Day. And this year's commemoration is themed Listen to the Future, a call the United Nations representative in Nigeria urges the Nigerian government to take seriously.
This year's theme on the World Children's Day, Listen to the Future, reminds us that children everywhere deserve to have their rights respected and their voice heard. In Nigeria, this means committing to policy and actions that uplift every child, no matter where they are or what the circumstance in which they are living in. All of us in the United Nations and our development partner must join hands so we can be most impactful in addressing the challenge faced by children.
UNICEF's summary of the 2024 situation analysis of children and adolescents in Nigeria shows that infant mortality has fallen by 27% since 1990. Child mortality rate has also dropped by 43%. 34,000 operational primary healthcare centers in Nigeria means there's more access to treatment in rural areas, especially prenatal care. On the downside, 1 in 2 Nigerian children live in poverty. 2.1 million Nigerian children are unvaccinated. 4.9 million Nigerian children need humanitarian assistance. 10.2 million children of primary school age and 8.1 million children of secondary school age are out of school. 40% of children under the age of 5 are stunted, while 8% are wasted. 90% of children under the age of 5 have experienced violence of some sort, and 70% of households lack access to safe drinking water.
I have had the privilege of being, I would say, almost in all parts of the country. And I have met these children, and I know the situation and the conditions where they live. And honestly, being there, it really breaks not only your heart, but it makes you feel guilty about not doing enough. So this is a call to action. Your determination and courage will inspire every one of us to work together.
For the United Nations, improving the living situation of Nigerian children, who make up 110 million of Nigeria's population, will require increased allocation for public budget. My guest on the program is Christiane Mundate. the UNICEF representative in Nigeria. Christiane Munduate, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you so much for this invitation to TV channels. Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about the activity. It's been a busy week.
Really busy week.
And I was watching you yesterday. You were dancing with the children at the city gate. And it was just a really important day because, you know, the future of the Nigerian child is one that a lot of us are worried about. And earlier in the day, I heard you make a call to action to the Nigerian government. Talk to us a little bit about why that call is necessary in the times that we're in.
Well, it is necessary and urgent. We have a very short window of opportunity. It's more or less 5 years more to reach 2030. And of course, we have the Sustainable Development Goals, which is, you know, a target for the entire globe to reach. But besides that, we do have a strong pressure in Nigeria to support those millions of children that are currently without access to basic services such as health, nutrition, and education. But if you account the numbers that are not attended at this moment, and you add that 8 million children are newborns every year in the country, it means that by 2030, you will have 48 million children more in Nigeria. This is the situation. If they don't receive education, the risks of violence, the risks of criminality, the risk of drug consumption, and therefore the drops on productivity will be high. So this is why this is so much more important, and the reason why we made a huge ask in terms of prioritizing investments and budgets for education, for health and nutrition, water and sanitation.
We did take a look at how much is budgeted for health and education and you know, the expectations of the Nigerian government and how they're not meeting those expectations in terms of budgetary allocations. What should the president be thinking about right now? We're entering into 2025. What sort of increase should we see in budgetary allocations for these services that concern children in Nigeria?
Well, I think this is, you know, is a matter of priorities. Where to put the priorities is one. I fully, and we all are very conscious about the level of pressure that the government has in terms of the multiple demands and urgencies that the country has. Actually, the global minimum that the different states around the world, the different countries manage is not less than 15% of the national budget for education and health. We are not there. We are kind of 6-7%. So you can do some adjustments in the funds.
I want to be able to talk about security and the impact these figures, because the report was released. Yes. You actually took your time to read the report on the state of the Nigerian child. What kind of impact do you think is going to have on security, which is one of the major things that we're dealing with in the country, security and the economy?
Yes. Well, listen, everybody knows, but my impression is, although you know, you really don't reflect. So this is becoming a sort of vicious circle. You have security challenges, and let us say, in terms of education, this also works against education. Parents don't want to send their children to school because they are afraid they might be kidnapped by dozens, right? Here, kidnappings is not like 1 or 2. It happens in big numbers. So that's another area of investment. So because of the security situation, children do not go to school. The households are poor. They need to have another income. The children grow. They become young adults. They don't have options. And hundreds and thousands of them decide, well, I can look for other means to give me income. And this is where they get involved and they get enrolled in criminal activities, and others who feel they don't have options in life, they feel so helpless, they easily get trapped in drug consumption.
Let's talk about the 16 days of advocacy to fight sexual and gender-based violence, because that's, like I said, it's coming.
In 10 days, it's coming.
Yes, and it's a very important conversation. The European Union hosted a program recently, and one of the things we're looking at was sexual abuse referral centers, where people go to report, oh, I have been abused, and the impact it is having in reducing SGBV in Nigeria. Talk to us a little bit about these 16 days of advocacy, the roles you think these referral centers play, and what the nation should be thinking about, especially on the part of government.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to say about this. But first, the few referral centers that are available, because Nigeria is a 220+ million people country, so there is not enough. Now, the country only has 10,000 social workers for a population of 220 million. So this can give you an idea on what path to take and where to start solving those gaps and those challenges that are necessary to overcome, so that these problems can be treated whenever there is a victim, but also prevented. So if you are asking me, what to do in that particular area of violence against women and violence against children, I do believe that there is so much to do, but really urgent to do by the judiciary system, because these are crimes and they should be treated as crimes. As long as the system tolerates this, and as long as communities are complacent with this, you are just nourishing and strengthening these behaviors, and they will not stop, they will increase.
I want to thank you very much, Christiane Munduate, for being with us on Dateline Abuja. I hope we get to see you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And good luck with all the work you do.
Thank you for a beautiful conversation.
Thanks to my guest and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. Let's keep the conversation going online using the social media handle showing right now on your screens. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Megwa. See you next time.